You're not wanted here. The day King Charles ordered security to block Prince Harry at St. George's Chapel. Introduction. A scene no one expected. Picture this. The soft autumn light slants through Windsor. The air is hushed with reverence, and tourists gather at the gates hoping to glimpse a royal moment. Suddenly, a car pulls up. Out steps Prince Harry, his expression a mix of determination and sorrow. He isn't here for pomp or ceremony. He's here for something deeply personal. To quietly visit the grave of his grandmother, the late Queen Elizabeth II. But before we continue, please subscribe, like, and turn on the notification bell for more updates. But before his feet can cross the threshold of St. George's Chapel, a commanding voice breaks the silence. Security steps forward. The words ring out like an iron bell in the crisp morning air. You're not wanted here. King Charles himself has given the order. And just like that, history gains a fresh, dramatic chapter. One that blends grief, family rifts, royal protocol, and raw human emotion into a story the world can't stop whispering about. Now, what really happened that day? Why would a father bar his son from honoring his grandmother? And what does this say about the royal family, about forgiveness, and about the boundaries between duty and love? Buckle up, we're diving into the full picture. Chapter 1. A royal rift that refuses to heal. When Prince Harry and Meghan Markle stepped down from royal duties in 2020, the world gasped. Megxit became more than a headline. It was a cultural earthquake. The golden grandson who once seemed inseparable from the institution suddenly declared independence. Since then, the family's bond has frayed. Oprah interviews, Netflix documentaries, and tell-all memoirs haven't helped. Each new revelation felt like another nail in the coffin of reconciliation. And yet, many hoped the memory of Queen Elizabeth II, the matriarch who was both monarch and grandmother, could mend what was broken. But sometimes wounds run too deep. What do you think? Can time really heal such divides, or are some scars permanent? Chapter 2. The Power of Place, Why St. George's Chapel Matters. St. George's Chapel isn't just a building. It's a centuries-old stage for royal history. It's where Prince Harry married Meghan in 2018, under the watchful eyes of the Queen. It's where the Queen herself was laid to rest in 2022, beside her beloved Prince Philip. For Harry, stepping into that chapel isn't simply about grief. It's about reconnecting with his roots, revisiting memories, and paying respect to the woman who meant the world to him. But here's the twist. In the world of royalty, even grief is political. Access isn't always guaranteed. And in this case, the doors that once opened for Harry with a smile were suddenly barred. Imagine the sting. Chapter 3. King Charles's command, duty or personal hurt. So why did King Charles take such a hard stance? Was it pure royal protocol or something more personal? Some insiders whisper it was about protecting the sanctity of the Queen's resting place. Others say it was fueled by years of frustration. Charles, still smarting from Harry's public criticisms, finally drew a line in the sand. In royal life, every action is layered. Duty, tradition, and family pride swirl together in ways outsiders rarely understand. To Charles, allowing Harry in that moment might have seemed like weakness. To Harry, being turned away might have felt like ultimate rejection. It's Shakespearean, isn't it? Father against son, love against duty. But here's the kicker, was Charles really protecting the crown or his own heart? Some were outraged. How can a son be barred from honoring his grandmother? They cried. Others defended King Charles. Actions have consequences, they argued. What's fascinating is how polarized the responses were. In the UK, many traditionalists nodded in approval, seeing Charles's decision as an act of strength, a king placing duty above messy personal ties. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, especially in the US, sympathy poured in for Harry. To many, he looked less like a rebel prince and more like a grieving grandson denied a basic human right. But here's the real kicker. Moments like these don't just stay in the headlines. They shape the monarchy's global image for decades to come. Harry's anguish, a grandson shut out. Imagine Harry's point of view. He steps onto the grounds of Windsor with memories flooding back. his grandmother's gentle smile, her unwavering support during his childhood, the moments she comforted him after Princess Diana's tragic death. And then, in an instant, that door, literal and symbolic, is slammed in his face. How does that feel? It's more than rejection. It's humiliation in the most sacred of places. Witnesses described Harry's face tightening, his jaw clenching, his eyes glistening as security gently but firmly guided him away. In that moment, Harry wasn't the Duke of Sussex. He wasn't the spare to the heir. He was just a grandson aching for a moment of peace, and being denied it. Can you picture the sting of being told you don't belong in the place you once called home? The symbolism of a closed door. The image of security blocking Harry is more than just a scene, it's a metaphor. A door closing isn't just physical. It's emotional, generational, historical. Think about it. The very chapel where Harry once walked proudly in uniform, where he stood beside Meghan and pledged his vows, is now the site of his rejection. The arc is cinematic, almost tragic. In storytelling terms, it's a full-circle moment, but not the kind anyone hoped for. The message is clear. Harry is no longer part of the inner sanctum. He is, quite literally, on the outside looking in. But here's where it gets interesting. Sometimes a closed door forces us to build our own. Could this painful exclusion push Harry toward carving out a new legacy, one entirely detached from royal approval? Princess Diana's shadow. It's impossible to talk about Harry's pain without mentioning his mother, Princess Diana. Her story haunts this moment like a ghost in the chapel. Diana too knew the sting of exclusion. She too was often treated as an outsider within the royal machine. Many observers immediately drew parallels. Would Diana's son really be turned away from his grandmother's grave? What would she say if she were alive? Some even argue that this is history repeating itself, the institution once again failing to prioritize compassion over protocol. And here's a chilling thought. Perhaps Harry's determination to stand his ground, even when unwelcome, is the most Diana-like thing he's ever done. Global reactions, a house divided. The drama didn't just stay in Windsor. It rippled across oceans. In the UK, royal loyalists praised Charles for protecting the dignity of the monarchy. Tabloids framed Harry as attention-seeking. In the US, media outlets painted him as the victim, a man unfairly cast out. Morning talk shows buzzed with empathy for Harry. In the Commonwealth, reactions varied. Some saw it as proof the monarchy is too rigid, too cold. Others shrugged, saying, "Family fights are family fights, even royal ones." What's fascinating is how this single moment revealed cultural differences. The UK clung to tradition. The US emphasized emotion. And somewhere in the middle, Harry himself became the lightning rod for a global debate. The future of the monarchy. This isn't just family drama. It's a glimpse into the monarchy's future. King Charles is trying to slim down the royal family, focusing on the core four: himself, Queen Camilla, Prince William, and Princess Catherine. By blocking Harry, Charles may have signaled the monarchy's direction. Leaner, tighter, and less forgiving of outsiders. But here's the risk. Alienating Harry might also alienate younger generations who sympathize with him. In an era where empathy matters, appearing cold could erode the monarchy's relevance. So the question is, will history remember Charles as a strong leader, or as the king who froze out his own son? Lessons in family and forgiveness. Let's step away from royalty for a moment. At its core, this is a story about family, about hurt, pride, and the messy ways we fail to show up for one another. Who hasn't felt unwelcome at a family gathering? Who hasn't had a door shut, literally or figuratively, by someone they love? The lesson here isn't about crowns or castles. It's about how we handle conflict. Do we draw hard lines? Or do we find ways to let compassion soften the edges? Do we let pride win? Or do we remember the humanity beneath the titles? Perhaps the takeaway is simple. At the end of the day, love should matter more than protocol. A call to reflection. As the dust settles, the image of Harry being blocked at St. George's Chapel will linger in the public imagination. Some will see a king defending tradition. Others will see a son cast aside. But here's the truth. History is written not just by events, but by how we choose to interpret them. So let's ask ourselves, what would we do in Charles's shoes? In Harry's? And in our own families, where pride and pain often clash? Can we find the courage to open doors instead of closing them? Because in the end, whether royal or not, we're all just people longing to be wanted. Final call to action. If the story stirred something in you, don't just scroll away. Share your thoughts. What side do you lean on? Was Charles right to uphold tradition? Or should Harry have been welcomed with open arms? And more importantly, think about your own family. Is there a door you've closed that needs reopening? Is there a conversation left unspoken that could heal a wound? Engage with this article. Share it. Talk about it. And maybe, just maybe, let's all learn from a moment when a king said, "You're not wanted here." And remember that in our own lives, we have the power to say instead, "You belong."